hour at least? Do you have?
Let's do 1 hour, yeah.
1 hour? Okay. So, thank you very much for your time, Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIĆ. Thank you that we can see each other again after a while. And thank you very much, you watchers who are with us right now. Thank you for your interest and for your questions, because today we are going to continue with SEMIR in discovering the mysterious archaeological discoveries in the world. And there are some new things from Dr. SEMIR. So I'm very happy that we can see each other again. And I think that this interview can influence or inspire some of your friends. So when you share that, we are very happy. Thank you very much for sharing. If you have any other opinion on things we are going to discuss, please share it with us. Just write it down instead of hating. I think it's very nice when we can inspire each other. And let's say that all the links for the work of Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIĆ is down there in the description. So if you want to visit the pyramids in Bosnia, so you have all the links there. So sometimes you go there and you let me know that you're very happy that you saw that personally. So, okay, don't hesitate too much. And also there is a link if you want to see this year event, because we gather once a year. So this year is November. So there is a link too, guys. If you want to just attend this event, come. Thank you very much, all of you. Let me say a few things about Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIČ before we start, because maybe it's your first experience. So who is Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIČ? I wrote it down here just for you to guys to know the work. Where is that? Is here? Okay. Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIČ, whose work brings insights about pyramids around the world, and who in recent years has primarily focused on the phenomenon of pyramids in Bosnia. The discoveries in the Bosnia Valley of the pyramids are truly groundbreaking from the perspective of archaeology, history, and spirituality, and their significance is so great that they are effectively rewriting the history of humankind. This is something what you don't hear from mainstream, because in mainstream archaeologists, they criticize you most of the time. They don't want to accept that these pyramids are there and they were built. So we are going to talk about that right now, and we will discuss it. So SEMIR, thank you again and welcome here.
Hello, Tomáš. I'm very happy to be with you again. You know, so many people coming from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, and they do mention your name. They said, well, I heard on Tomáš interview with you about the Bosnian pyramids, so I had to come. So people do come, and then they return. They come again and again, and they love the experience.
Yes. I have to go one day too. I promise. I will plan. So first question for you, SEMIR, before I put there the questions from people, is because we haven't seen each other for a while, are there any new discoveries in the world right now which changing the rules of archaeology discoveries or history of humankind? Is there anything what shocked you recently?
Actually, there are many discoveries that contradict what they teach us in schools and what the mainstream archaeology does not want to accept. Generally, we've been told that the human civilization started 5,000–6,000 years back. Sumerians, and then Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, Hittite, ancient Egypt, India, and China. And this is wrong. The last cycle of humanity is about 11,500 years old. This is when the end of the last ice age happened. But before this one, there was another era of civilizations, 18,000 years back, 34,000 years back, 55, 75. The history of humanity is a cycle after cycle after cycle. Many cycles, even in Sumeria, today's Persia, Iran, and Iraq. The first civilizations more than 200,000 years old. Civilizations in Indonesia, Gunung Padang Pyramid, in West Java, 27,000 years old. The Chinese pyramids, more than 10,500 years old. Machu Picchu in eastern Peru, the first civilization out of 4, more than 54,000 years. So as we can see, we need to change the history books. We need to deprogram ourselves and admit we are just one of the civilizations that appeared on the face of the planet. So in that context, the Bosnian pyramids are so important. This project is not run in Bosnia by the governments, departments of archaeology, museums, people who can be ordered to stop or to misinform the public. It is run by the non-profit foundation, which is called Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. And what we have discovered in the last 20 years, that's the time when we discovered the Bosnian pyramids, is so exciting and so groundbreaking. You know, Tomáš, we've been programmed in schools to think that pyramids were built as tombs for the kings, for the pharaohs, like in Egypt. And that's wrong. Even in Egypt, out of 155 pyramids, and I have visited and researched them all, not a single mummy. The kings or pharaohs, they were buried in the Valley of Kings, Luxor, Karnak, Abydos, Dendera, Thebes, Memphis, not in the pyramids. Pyramids are energy amplifiers. And the last 2 times when you and I talked, we explained how the pyramids amplify the existing natural energy sources. And today I want to share very, very exciting discoveries in the last few months that we made together with the Bosnian pyramids and the most exciting star cluster of all, the Pleiades star system.
I'm curious, so maybe we will not wait. You can tell us now something about that, because
okay.
I cannot wait for that. After that, we will put the questions from people. But please,
okay, gladly. You know, we've realized that the ancients very carefully laid out their structures, respecting the major geometrical forms. Actually, they respected the elements of sacred geometry. What are those elements? For example, equilateral triangle. Triangle with the same length of sides and inner angles at 60 degrees. You can connect 3 points in space in unlimited ways, but only one gives you equilateral triangle. That's why this triangle is part of sacred geometry. When you have elements of sacred geometry, you have movement of the energy. And in the case of the Bosnian pyramids, 3 out of 6 pyramids, the Bosnian pyramids of the Sun, Moon, and Dragon, when we connect their tops, they form perfect equilateral triangle, and the distance between the tops, 2,180 meters. And then the top of the Love Pyramid, top of the Temple of Mother Earth, the river Fonica, and entrance to one of the tunnels, we have discovered 7 entrances, also form another equilateral triangle, triangle within a triangle, sacred geometry. But the most important element of sacred geometry is not this triangle. Of course, we have number pi, 3.14, number phi, golden section, 1.618. We have flower of life, but the most important is the Fibonacci spiral or golden section spiral. Why is that important? This spiral, which is mathematically very precisely determined, is present everywhere from micro world. For example, the seashells, they have this spiral. Through our DNA, the spiral. Our bones, for example, take our finger. It consists of 3 bones, the small, the medium, and the big one. The big bone is bigger than the medium 4 1.618 times, and this is the golden section number. The medium is bigger than the small one for 1.618 times, golden section number. And based on this number, 1.618, the golden section spiral is formed. Look at our face. You start from the tip of the nose, mouth, eyes, chin, forehead, golden section spiral. Look at the flowers, the roses, golden section spirals. Look at the spiral galaxies, again, Fibonacci or golden section spiral. So it seems that the Mother Nature or universal mind used this spiral to move the energy and create the life. And the ancients were smart. They were laying out their structures, respecting the golden section spiral. And guess what? We have been researching the Bosnian pyramids and their layout, and we discovered 3 golden section spirals. The first one starts from the top of the Bosnian pyramid of the love. And once you open the spiral, on the line of the spiral, it intersects with the top of the Bosnian pyramid of the moon. And then you move with the spiral, it goes to the top of the temple of Mother Earth, goes to the top, through the top of pyramid of dragon, and then all the way down goes to the top of the tumulus in the village of Ratnica. Tumulus in archaeology is the conical artificial hill, and that's the one of them that we discovered in Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. So imagine, when you have more than 2 points on the spiral, it means it is not a coincidence. And in our case, we have 5 such points: top of the love, sun, earth, dragon, and tumulus. And this is not all. There is another spiral that starts at the top of the sun pyramid, going to entrance to the Rane tunnels, going all the way to the tumulus. And then there is another one that starts at the mouth of 2 rivers. Namely, we have 2 rivers in the town of Visoko. One is river Fonica, the other one is river Bosna, coming from Sarajevo. Well, when we look at the river Fonica, we go back a few kilometers. This river flows west-east, and then all of a sudden, when they built Pyramid of Dragon, it becomes an obstacle to the river, and it moved for 90 degrees, getting inside the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Meaning, if they moved purposely the river bed, it means that the place where 2 rivers meet, Bosna and Fonica, is artificially made point in time. Why did they move the river? Well, water means life. Water, moving water, is kinetic energy. Water means underground water flows, and we have a lot of those flows under the sun and the moon pyramid. And water, when water moves, it releases negative ions, which are very beneficial, and we measure the highest concentration of negative ions. So they knew exactly what they were doing. So now we are coming to the mouth of 2 rivers. And the next Fibonacci spiral starts exactly from this mouth. And it goes to the top of the moon pyramid. It comes to one corner of Temple Mother Earth, and then another corner of Temple of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is not a pyramid. It's like a half-circled, like half-moon radius structure. And then there is another one, another Fibonacci spiral starting from the mouth of 2 rivers. And this one goes through the Sun Pyramid, Rane tunnels, and tumulus in Ratnica. So we have at least 4 Fibonacci spirals. You know what? One would be enough to, show that this is artificially made layout. But 4 of them, it's a genius. So this is a discovery that we made several months ago. And now I was thinking, well, if we have such a precision, mathematically, scientific precision, how about the night sky? there are, Tomáš, 100,000 visible skies in the night. 100,000. And you have probably heard that end of 80s and during the 90s, there was a very popular theory, first advanced by a Belgian researcher. His name was Robert Bouval, that 3 pyramids in Egypt at the Giza Plateau, Cheops, Khafre, Mykerinos, with their layout perfectly match 3 stars of the Orion belt. And really, when you look at the night sky, those 3 stars, they make like a broken line. They're not on one straight line. It goes from one to another one, and then it moves. So it's like a broken line. And the 3 pyramids, when you connect their top from above, it is one broken line. And this theory has become very popular because Robert Bouval asked help from Graham Hancock 3 years ago. If he can help him, let's write the book together. People know you better than myself. So they wrote a book. It has become very popular. They became very influential. They sold a lot of books. They made a lot of money. And then they were joined by Robert Schoch, exploring this possibility that those 3 pyramids really match locations and positions of 3 stars of Orion belt. And then they said, one star is Isis, another one is Osiris, and they gave all this folklore. Well, what I did, since I look sometimes the night sky, and I was thinking, well, is it the only possibility? And then I realized that 3 stars of star cluster Cygnus have also the same layout like those 3 Egyptian pyramids. And then I was looking more. The Fox star system, also there are 3 stars with one broken line. Then Pegasus, 3 stars. So what I did, I ran the Monte Carlo simulation. So basically you ask the software that today is supported by AI, by the artificial intelligence, and very soon it can check tens of thousands different possibilities. So I asked them, okay, if we take the positions of 3 tops of 3 Egyptian pyramids, how many stars they're gonna match on the night sky from the same star cluster? So the same, proportionally the same distance and the same angle. The answer was not 1 Orion belt. The answer was not 4. I just mentioned 4, Pegasus and Fox and Cygnus. The answer was 4,429 different possibilities. So now imagine, you have those people who 3-4 decades ago have become popular globally, wrote books, became very influential. And their possibility that they are right is 1 out of 4,429. I'm not saying they are wrong. I'm just saying this is what is mathematically result. So I was thinking even more. I said, well, what is the star system that has been mentioned in all cultures around the world? It was not Orion belt. It was another star system called Pleiades. Now, Pleiades, in the night sky, they are star cluster with 7 stars, which are very visible all 12 months during the year, and they are called Pleiades because of the ancient Greek mythology, 7 sisters of Pleiades. But also during 3 months of the year in the northern hemisphere, you can see 2 more stars. It's 7 plus 2, Pleione and Atlas. And they call them father and mother. So you have like 9 stars, father, mother, and 7 sisters. And the oldest sisters in Greek mythology is called Maya. So we have those 9 stars. So I have in front of me the layout of those 9 stars. I was using the NASA telescope and Hubble telescope. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, okay, is there any similarity with the layout of the Bosnian pyramids? We have 6 pyramids, we have tumulus, we have underground tunnels, and we have, of course, the mouth of 2 rivers. So these are the major points in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. So I'm looking and I'm comparing. Well, first I said, let me see. Instead of one broken line, like in Egypt, are there maybe straight lines with at least 3 stars and 3 pyramids? And the answer was yes. If you take the layout of 3 stars over there with Maya, Caliano, and the others, it's straight line. And when you take 3 tops of the Bosnian pyramids of the moon, earth, and dragon, it's a straight line. I said, okay, we have a match. 3 stars, 3 pyramids, straight line, which is for me more significant than broken line. Then I was looking some more. I was looking, are there any more straight lines in Bosnia? The answer was yes. You go from the top of Temple of Mother Earth, top of the Love Pyramid, top of the Sun, Ravne tunnels. Again, we have straight line and 4 points. It is even more significant. But then I was thinking, when I look at the night sky, there are so many stars and probably many, many straight lines with 3, 4, or more stars. So I said, okay, it is interesting, but it is not a definitive proof. If we can go to something more complex, it will be more interesting. Let's say, let's go to the triangle. Unlimited number of triangles on the night sky. But I was looking, is there any, equilateral triangle, the same length of the sides, like in Bosnia, Sun, Moon, and Dragon Pyramid? And sure enough, I discovered one equilateral triangle in the Pleiades star system. Again, the Maya star was the major star in this triangle. I said, okay, this is also interesting, but this is not a definitive proof that there is a connection between Bosnian pyramids and the Pleiades. I said, what if we have Fibonacci link in Fibonacci spirals between the two? In Bosnia, we have at least 4 Fibonacci spirals. Let me see at the Pleiades star system. And I was looking at the Maya, which is like in the middle. And exactly the spiral goes from the Maya, beginning point, and then 4 more stars are sitting on this spiral. So when you have 3, 4, 5 or more, it means it is intentional layout. And I ended up proving that 3 Fibonacci spirals from the Bosnian pyramids, terrestrial plane, perfectly match 3 Fibonacci spiral or golden section spirals that I discovered, it has never been before in literature. They are same on the celestial plane, star system of Pleiades. So I was so excited. I have written the scientific article. I published it. I sent it to international magazine, and they call it peer-reviewed. It's double-blind peer-reviewed, and they were happy with it. They said nobody had it before. You have used combination of astronomy, archaeology, math, geometrics, and statistics. And then I asked Monte Carlo simulation, okay, please, can you check all potential options that on the terrestrial plane, on this planet, we have not only archaeological sites with the pyramids, but any site, let's say, top of the mountains, mouth of 2 rivers, and so on, that you can discover, you can find Fibonacci spiral, and that you can match that spiral with 3 spirals on the night sky, not only Pleiades, but any other. So after thousands and thousands of computations, the result was there is only one match, only one option, and that is the one between the Bosnian pyramids and the Pleiades. Not 4,400, that in the case of Egyptian pyramids, only one. Which means that statistically it's impossible that any other star system can match layout of Bosnian pyramids, or that any other layout of natural or artificial hills, pyramids, tumuli on this planet can match what's above us. So if you have only one system, it means it had to be that way. And now when we think some more, Tomáš, why would Bosnian pyramid builders made such a precise match? Pleiades and pyramids in the Bosnian Valley. What is the message for us? So once we realize that there is a perfect match and there is only one possibility, what does it tell us? Why would people from North America talk about the Pleiades thousands of years back? Navajo Indians, Hopi Indians, Pueblo Indians, Mayan civilization in Central America, South America, Japan, India, Maori in New Zealand, Aborigines, original people of Australia. Why would they all talk about the Pleiades? Where did they get that information? Why don't they talk about different star systems, but they all talk about the Pleiades? It has to be a very good reason for that, and especially in case of Bosnia, if they materialize that talk and that connection, it is much more than just a coincidence. So this is the latest discovery from the last month, and I'm glad that I can share it with you.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for this. Which came to my head is you mentioned arguments now for which supporting existence of pyramids in Bosnia. What is the acceptance from the mainstream right now? Is it developing in a good way, or what is the reaction?
Well, I would say that the whole thing has been stalled. It's like a pat position in a chess. You know, European Archaeological Association, which is just one non-government organization, they said there are no pyramids in Bosnia back in 2000 when I started, 2006, when I started the project. They don't want to change that. Nobody came from that organization to Bosnia to listen to the arguments, to read our scientific reports. And of course, they have influence to paste that on Wikipedia and other non-scientific sites. You know, Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, National Geographic, Smithsonian, 80 to 90% they are correct. But 10 to 20% of the most delicate, items they use to control the people, and they use to shape the human consciousness, which is very wrong. In the case of history, they are giving us this BS that we are just 5,000–6,000 years old, which is, of course, wrong. They are giving us the ideas that support Einstein theory and some other stuff. So the major aspect of our life, we are fully controlled. They are giving us idea in politics that there is no democracy, and of course there is no democracy. So Wikipedia is there to defend the system. So what they are saying, oh, the Bosnian pyramids, this is geological natural sites, and majority of the experts, after checking the sites, which is not truth, claim there are no pyramids. Well, what we do it differently. We don't give statements, but we work. In the last 20 years, we have done a numerous sample testing proving that the blocks of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun are artificially made concrete blocks, and we have checked that in 7 different countries. Next one, we used Institute for Geodesy, who proved that we have a pyramid with 3 preserved sides, triangular in face. The 4th one has been damaged, and there is a perfect orientation of those 4 sides to the cardinal points, east, west, north, south, even more precise than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And then we have done many lab analyses. We have done many georadar, geothermal, and satellite scanning, georadar scanning, proving there are passageways, tunnels, and chambers inside the pyramids and under the Bosnian pyramid valleys. We've done many datings. Right now, we use 3 different in the world of the science. One is radiocarbon. In the case of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, Khufu, or Cheops, they've done only 4 radiocarbon dating. Why? Because all 4 were older than 4,550 years, which is the era of the pharaoh Cheops. And then they stopped. Only 4 were done in the case of Göbekli Tepe, which is the site in southeastern Turkey. It's officially 11,600. All 4 are more than 13,800, and then they stopped. In the case of Bosnia, we have done 28 radiocarbon dating, 12 luminescence analysis, 7 uranium-thorium analysis, and they all take us back to 30,000 years in the past. And this is the major problem with the mainstream archaeology. 30,000 years, they don't want to accept. So when you see, scientifically speaking, we've done everything right. But the most exciting results are in the area of the energy measurements. We have many teams of physicists, nuclear and quantum physicists, engineers, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, who were coming from Croatia, from Serbia, from Finland, from Germany, from Italy. They were doing the measurements, proving there is energy beam on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 28 kilohertz frequency. It is electrical and ultrasound in nature. It goes from 4.5 meters to 20, 4.5, 20, 4.5, and its strength is bigger as it moves away from the pyramid. In science, it is called Tesla's scalar waves. They are ideal for the communication. And really, the first purpose of pyramids is the long-distance communication. Everything we do using scientific methodology. And Tomáš, this June, we have held the 8th International Scientific Conference on Bosnian Pyramids. We had really some big caliber people like doctors J.J. Hrtak, Desiree Hrtak. We had Valery Uvarov, the pyramid builder from Russia. We had Michael Tellinger, a researcher from South Africa. Last year, Professor Konstantin Korotko, many other physicists and engineers, proving that pyramids are energy amplifiers. So what we prove is that all the knowledge from the mainstream about pyramids in the world, Egyptian, Mexican, Peruvian, Chinese, Mauritius, Canary Islands, Indonesia, Cambodia, Peru, Bolivia, is wrong. They were not built as a resting place, as tombs for the kings or the pharaohs. They don't belong to the past. On the contrary, we've been measuring, proving that pyramid amplifies the energies that can be used to protect our health, communication, to improve the molecular structure of the water, food, immunity, our spiritual senses. So we bring the revolutionary change in the world of archaeology. Pyramids do not belong to the past, but they are energy machines that can be used today and tomorrow. And this is something they don't like.
Wow. Thank you very much, Samir, for this. What do you think, guys? Let me know. Write some comments down below. You know, I have a feeling, Samir, that there is maybe even more, because when I talk with the people, they work with energy, and there are a lot we don't know still. And these information are not put publicly. Like, we have a mainstream, yeah. What the topics are there? Politics, economy, these things. Like, my idea is, what I want to ask you is, if you think there is some connection to some mysterious ability which we had as a human beings in the past, which is connected with these structures, with these pyramids, which is not in a public view, like, it's not acceptable. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you think that there is some abilities of people which can be discovered thanks to accepting this connection between the pyramids and the human beings, like in energetic field or something like that? What do you think about it?
You are right. You know, many people from Czech Republic, Slovakia, from Bulgaria, from Hungary, from our countries like Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia, Macedonia, Montenegro, people who were suppressed during the 20th century, during the communist rule and materialistic view of the world, now they all of a sudden got attracted by this site in the heart of Bosnia. Why? Because these are the people who can feel the energy, who know that they do have some senses. I call them spiritual senses. They can sense beyond the physical reality. And guess what? The pyramid energy amplifies our spiritual abilities. You know, besides the 5 physical senses, which we use to create our view of the material world, we have 30 spiritual senses. Through our 5 physical senses, we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, and we can touch. And we think that we know almost everything about the world around us. Well, our physical senses are so limited, very, very limited. We can sense only 1% of the world around us. What we hear is called sound. We hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Everything above 20 kilohertz is called ultrasound. We don't hear 30, 50, 60 kilohertz. We don't hear megahertz scale. We don't hear gigahertz scale. We don't hear very deep sounds, infrasound, 10, 5, 2 hertz. What we hear is 0.7% of all sounds around us. So we are deaf, even though we do have ears. What we can see, we see only those 7 colors, 7 frequencies, starting with red, which is the lowest, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But this is less than 1% of all color frequencies around us. We are blind, even though we have eyesight. Imagine that we can start developing our spiritual senses, that we can see more than we could see, like the cats can see souls and ghosts, orbs, maybe extraterrestrials, high vibrational beings, or lower vibrational beings. Imagine that we can hear. Also, cats and dogs can hear a little bit of ultrasound. We could hear different entities. Our world would change. Imagine that we can feel the energies, like people who deal with the bioenergy. We could feel not only the first field around us, the auric field, the first electromagnetic field around. We could feel all 7 less dense fields around us. Imagine that we can see the colors of those fields. We can see people with a lot of red color. We know, wow, this person has some problems, probably violent or having some problems, because of a lot of red color, low vibrational color. We see green or blue color, the colors of healing, the colors of sharing, the colors of love. We see violet color. Wow, very spiritual person. We see a lot of white color surrounding some persons. This is wisdom. Imagine that we can see colors. We cannot unfold, but we can develop that sense. And most probably, people long time back, thousands of years ago, using the pyramid energy, were developing those senses. Imagine that we can move objects with the power of our mind. Imagine that we can call the rain like the original people of America, Indians dancing for the rain, or original people of Australia, which Englishmen called aboriginal, non-original, so they can grab their land. So original people of Australia, with their mantras, they would invite the rain, and they would succeed. We have those powers. We don't develop them. The elites, actually the monsters, who elegantly call themselves elites, they don't want us to become spiritual. And this is true spirituality for me. True spirituality is when we become aware that we are not the physical body. Physical body is important for this one life experience, but we are primarily a soul. Soul with its own intelligence, with its own spiritual senses. Soul that can move through space and time. And once we realize that, like many Indian gurus, then we will know that we are non-destructible. If you cannot kill us, we are immortal. If our souls are immortal, why would we fear anything in our life? Instead, the elites wants us to live only in the material world and watch their news so they can instill the fear into our lives through the news about the wars, all kinds of incidents and accidents and fires and money. So once we fear, we are easy prey to control and to manipulate. When we become aware that we are spiritual beings, the fear disappears from our life. We realize that we have no limits. And that's exactly the definition of the freedom. No limits. And guess what, Tomáš? Pyramid energy develops our spiritual abilities, make us fearless, make us free. So yes, you are right. The pyramid is much more than the energy machine. It's, in a way, intelligent energy machine. And if we interact with this intelligence, we benefit both, us and the pyramids.
Guys, what do you think? Write your opinions about that and your experience also. Do you have some experience like this in your life? Just let us know. Semir, thank you very much. I will put here some questions from the audience. So first question for you is this. Is there any good civilizations such as Atlantis or Lemuria have influenced the cultures of the Maya or other ancient civilizations?
As I said, the history of humanity is not linear. They teach us in schools that until 12,000 years ago, there was a period called Paleolithic, the old Stone Age. There were no civilizations then. And then we have Mesolithic, 12,000, 10,000, and then Neolithic times. And only in the recent Neolithic times, we have the first civilizations, which is wrong. And I mentioned why. There are civilizations all around the planet in a very, very, very great distance. Now, the question is about the Atlantis. People usually think, oh, this is a civilization which disappeared 12,000 years ago in a great catastrophe. Yes and no. It seems that there were at least 3 phases of the civilization which was developing in the center of the Atlantic Ocean. Until 54,000 years back, there were 2 huge islands in the Atlantic Ocean between Europe and North America. And then during one catastrophe, one big island, which was close to today's Iceland, was going down to the bottom of the Atlantic floor. Why? Because its origin was volcanic. Volcanic origin is actually very delicate and very sensitive. If volcanic land is hit by comets, by some other stuff, it can move up and down. And that's what happened 54,000 years ago, and that was the end of the phase 1 of the mysterious land of Atlantis. The end of the phase 2 was 18,500, and the end of the phase 3 was with the end of the last ice age, most probably 11,700 years back. What happened then? Then the remaining big island, which was most probably 400 kilometers north-south and more than 200 kilometers east-west. That island also went down to the bottom of Atlantic Ocean. Today it is 3,500 meters below the sea level. What happened then? Most probably one of the cosmic disasters. It seems that the one planet which was between the planets Mars and Jupiter was hit. I don't know, was it a natural or artificial disaster? And the whole planet was destroyed. And huge stone debris were going throughout our solar systems, and some of them were hitting our planet. That, of course, if we agree that our planet is spherical, not flat. And today, there is a asteroid belts between Mars and Jupiter. So, during that disaster, the land of Atlantis, the mysterious civilization, was gone. And it seems that good astronomers from the Atlantis knew what was coming, so they were dispersing the knowledge. And it is possible that the reason why the Egyptian pyramids were built at the Giza Plateau was just that, to preserve the knowledge from the Atlantean civilizations. This is one of the options. So the question was, is there any link between Atlanteans and Lemurians with the Mayans? Let me explain about the Lemuria. People usually got confused when they mention two words. One is Lemuria, which was the land between Madagascar and India, and another one is Motherland Mu, which would go from Japan throughout the Pacific Ocean to today's Easter Island. It is very possible that there was Motherland Mu civilization and several more. For example, one was in what's today known as the Gobi Desert in Central Asia. But before it was desert, it seems it was very fruitful land, which ended up in some type of catastrophe. Maybe there was a thermonuclear war. And some of the proofs for such a war we find in a civilization in today's Indus River, today's Pakistan and India, Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, and other 5,000 towns in this valley. All of a sudden, the temperature of more than 1,000 degrees was generated. It can be done only through the thermonuclear war. Besides those civilizations, there was one called Og in today's Peru, and so on. So it seems that our ancient past was much, much more interesting and much more complex than what they try to teach us. And when the arguments for such civilizations are discovered, they try to suppress that. Who's them? You know, in the 90s, for 25 years actually, 90s, 2000s, I spent 25 years in the US. And at that time, in the 90s, I went to the lab in Houston, and I did my DNA testing, my genetical analysis and haplogroups, and then I realized there are many independent institutes who deal with such analysis. And we started getting scientific information. For example, the same haplogroup were in a case of Basques, and they are in Spain and southern France, Berbers, northern Africa, some tribes in Amazon, and some tribes in Guatemala. So we have 4 continents: Europe, Africa, Brazil, South America, Central America, with the same haplogroup. What is missing? Distribution center, which was in the middle, and that would be the land of Atlantis in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. 4 sides, people are going to 4 sides, 4 cardinal points. And then there was a very close connection between haplogroups in India and Ecuador from 50,000 years ago, the same haplogroup. And they're telling us that the man in North and South America came from the Bering Strait 12,000 years ago, coming down as American Indians and more down to Central America and South America 12,000 years ago. No. This connection was from 50,000 years ago. So now all of a sudden, new science was proving there are connections among different types of people tens of thousands of years ago. So what happened in 90s, end of 90s? The National Geographic said, we are going to do comprehensive haplogroup research, and we will be charging $0 people who want to be involved in this project. You know, when I was doing my research on my DNA, I had to pay $250 then in 1995, let's say. Today it is like you're paying $1,000 or $1,500. And now you have another organization, very reputable, National Geographic, is saying, we're going to do it for free. We're going to give you results. Where are you going to go? Pay $1,500 or do it for free and get the same results? Or at least you think you're going to get the same results. Well, you would go to National Geographic. After that, many independent institutes went out of the business. So what happened? National Geographic starting to draw the new maps. And they said that all what I mentioned to you is not existent. Because now they are taking the history into their hands, not independent institutes. And you know who was the owner of National Geographic then? It was Westinghouse. And you know who was the owner of Westinghouse? It was Bank of America. And you know who was the owner of Bank of America? BlackRock. And you know who's the owner of the BlackRock? Of course, some of those monsters. Rockefeller families, JP Morgan, DuPont, and the others. As we can see, the great powers behind the wheel, behind the curtain, they like to control everything. And the history is the major significance for them. They want to make sure that their bedtime stories they give us about the ancient history and only 5,000–6,000 years of civilizations and pyramids belonging to the past as a tombs and no advanced civilizations in distant past, they want to make sure that their narrative is still alive. But guess what? There are simply too many proofs that they are wrong. Even today, using the AI, artificial intelligence, they try to keep this narrative alive because the AI is based on Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, Smithsonian, and so on. But as long as we have enough independent free thinkers, there is a chance for us. So what I was describing right now was that National Geographic became the major source of the DNA research, genetical research, and it was processed at the University of Oxford. For some reason, Oxford has to be the measure for everything. If it is approved by Oxford, it means it is scientific. Oh, really? I don't think so. If it is approved by them, one can make sure that there is a manipulation behind that. So let me finally answer the question. So I did answer the questions that the Atlantis, Lemuria, Motherland Mu, Gobi, Og, and some other civilizations did exist in the past, some of them being less dense. We are very dense, less dense than us and more spiritual than us. So those civilizations did exist. The question was about, is there any direct link between the Mayan civilization and Atlantean civilization? The answer is yes. My PhD, my doctorate was about the Mayan civilization, and I have traveled extensively throughout the Mayan world, forests and jungles and public spaces, and researched and not researched places in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize. And I realized that the Mayan civilization built many, many more pyramids than 100,000. I'm the only one in the world who's saying 100,000 plus, but it's maybe even 1 million, because every Mayan city would have pyramids. For example, city of Palenque in Mexican state of Chiapas, 25 pyramids have been uncovered. You can see them. Beautiful step pyramids. Originally, they had 1,229 pyramids. 1,000 in just one city. And then, when you take all of them, hundreds of thousands, and 97% of them are still covered by soil, vegetations, they're in forests, they're in jungles. What do we know about the civilization? Not Neolithic culture, as Encyclopedia Britannica states about Mayans. Not Neolithic culture. Neolithic meaning Stone Age people, but civilization. This is what I claimed in my doctoral dissertation. Well, what do we know based on only 3%? Almost nothing. We don't know about their achievements, but even based on 3%, we can see great knowledge of construction, of engineering, of architecture, of astronomy, of calendars, of agriculture, and so on. Now, people heard about the crystal skulls. Many crystal skulls were discovered in the Mayan world, from Belize to Mexico, Guatemala. And when talking to the remnants of the Mayan population, who in more than 95% disappeared in the 10th century, a very few remained. When talking to them, we could learn that those skulls, they were coming from the east, from the Atlantic Ocean, Atlantis, 12,000 years back. When you go to some of the cities over there, like Coba, you go, or Tula, you go to some of the Mayan cities today, and some of them that are near the Mexico City, 3,000 kilometers away. Chichen Itza is, in Yucatan, and 3,000 kilometers here near the Mexico City. You can hear the stories from Toltecs that they came from the east, from the Red Land. And even some of their structures they would call Atlanteans. To the east from Mexico is, of course, the center of the Atlantic Ocean. The Red Land is a volcanic soil. So we have obviously some connections. Officially, when you go to Encyclopedia Britannica, about the Mayan, they said not only they were Neolithic culture, but also that they are only 3,000 years around. 3,000 years. When I went to Belize, there were seeds that were 7,500 years old. So you have domesticated seeds, corn, 7,500 years old, meaning somebody was making the seeds for their agriculture in the Mayan land 7,500 years ago, not 3,000 years. And I think if more research has been done, then we would finally get to that magic barrier of 12,000 years, because the Mayans had been around for more than 12,000 years. So yes, answer to that question, I could give him only a very short answer. Yes, there is a question. There is a connection between the Mayan civilization and Atlanteans. Lemurians, I don't know, Lemurians and the Mayans, but definitely between Atlanteans and the Mayan, yes.
Thank you very much for this. Oh. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Just write down. And I have the last question for you, SEMIR, because you answered all the questions during the interview, so it's okay for you, I think, guys. And the last question is from Ludmila. Which purpose do you think Dr. SEMIR OSMANAGIĆ had the tunnels under the pyramids?
When I first came to the town of Visoko in central Bosnia 20 years ago, I came to visit the local museum. Then I saw this hill, 4 sides, triangular faces, 2 compass. It showed me east, west, north, south. I knew it was a pyramid. I climbed the top, looking around the valley. I see another one under the forest, another pyramid, sun and the moon. I wrote the book. If we have 2 pyramids, we are going to discover the underground tunnels. And of course, mainstream archaeologists, historians, museums, they were laughing at me. What pyramids? And now, what tunnels? Well, I base that on my experience with Egypt. Under the Giza Plateau, there are 4 levels of tunnels. People don't go there. Egyptologists don't let them go there. Why? Because the tunnels were flooded, and you can see the sea salt, you can see the sea water. And Giza is 180 kilometers from the Mediterranean Sea. When was the last time when Mediterranean Sea flooded Giza Plateau? 12,000 years ago. Meaning those tunnels were there 12,000 years ago. When they opened the Cheops pyramid, El Mamnoon, 1,200 years ago, they discovered the sea salt and seashells at the base of the pyramid, meaning the pyramid was there already. Instead of 4,550 years, it is more than 12,000 years. So I knew Egypt has underground tunnels. In China, in central province Shanxi, every pyramid has the tunnels that leads below the ground, coming to underground chambers. In Mexico, Teotihuacan, under the sun, moon, Quetzalcoatl, tunnels, under Peruvian pyramids, tunnels. And of course, I wrote in my book in 2005, we are going to discover the tunnels. People were laughing, archaeologists, historians, and they were laughing because they did not know. They have no clue about the pyramids. Well, guess what? Very soon we discovered, or I discovered, the first entrance to the tunnels. We started clearing. We realized we have huge network of underground tunnels. So far, we discovered 7 entrances to prehistorical tunnels. Ravne, where we cleared 2.6 kilometers of existing prehistorical tunnels. Ravne 2, 14 meters. Ravne 3, 150 meters. Ravne 4, 70 meters. Ravne 5, 150 meters. Ravne 6, 65 meters. KTK tunnels, 120 meters. So far, more than 3.5 kilometers of the tunnels. Interesting thing is that all these tunnels were filled with the filler material. So they are closed with the pebbles, rocks, and sand. They are closed all the way to the top, and every 10 meters, we can see dry stone walls. They filled one section, they build a wall. They filled another section, they build a wall. They filled this section, they build a wall. So it's very carefully filled with the materials and closed. So 2 questions, actually, not just one. First question is, why would they build not 1 or 2 tunnels connecting the pyramids, but the labyrinth of tunnels? Every few meters, you have side tunnels, you have many intersections. That's first question. If it was for the communication purposes, then 1 or 2 tunnels will do the job. Instead, you have tens and tens of kilometers of the tunnels. And the second question, why would somebody close so carefully all of the tunnels? It is not our logic, Tomáš. Our logic would be, if you don't want anyone in the future to go to the tunnels, you take a dynamite and you put it at the entrance of the tunnels, boom, you get everything out, and then people cannot find the way to the tunnels. Instead, they fill them so carefully using hundreds of thousands of tons of the filler material. Now, at first, back in 2006, 7, 8, when we started clearing those tunnels, we thought, well, they closed those tunnels because they wanted to hide something. There is something in front of us, maybe 100 meters or 500 meters. You know, maybe there is some treasure, maybe there is a gold, maybe there are sarcophagus or something. But the more we clear, the more we realize there are no tools, no food, no proof that anybody lived there, nothing, no treasures, no nothing. And then we started measuring energy phenomena. For example, beneficial negative ions. Deeper you go, concentration of negative ions is higher. And then the ultrasound, the frequency of 28 kilohertz. This is the levitation frequency of the ultrasound. And then the electromagnetic field of 28 kilohertz frequency. This is the frequency of our mother planet. So the frequency is the same as you go deeper, but it's getting stronger. Same frequency, 28, but stronger. So we realized that all these values are getting higher, stronger as you move deeper. So it would be logical to conclude that closer you come to the pyramid, energies are getting stronger, they are more beneficial to us. So it's not just a healing energy, maybe the rejuvenation energy. You become completely clean, physically and spiritually. And then the next thing, once we realize that the pyramids, they have this energy being going through the top, where is the origin of this energy? Well, from the underground. It seems that the tunnels were supplying pyramids with its energy. Beauty of what we do is that we can measure it. Deeper you go, stronger and stronger. So if at the original times, the pyramid energy was so strong, you could use this energy or you could abuse it. It is like with the laser energy. You have laser, you can use it in medicine for good purposes, or you can make a laser gun and start killing people. Obviously, not very good purposes for those who got killed. The same thing with the pyramid energy. You can use it for good purposes, agriculture, society, no violence, spiritual senses, improve the water, improve the food, for good purposes. Or you can abuse it. You can start hitting with this energy beam other civilizations who you don't like. So it seems to me that there is a possibility that when maybe the first civilization saw that pyramid energy has been abused, they decided to make it very, very weak. So from the strong machines, now you have weak machine. You can still measure some energy values, but it is so weak that it cannot influence the neighborhood area. It's just an option.
Semir, thank you very much for providing us with this information and discoveries you have made, and other people with you, your team. It's amazing to update these things. I'm so excited about what will come next. Really. So
what you can do, Tomáš, because I sent you one of my more than 30 peer-reviewed articles. I sent you one about the connections between the Pleiades and Bosnian pyramids. Maybe you can give them a link if they want to find out more, scientific data. They can do that. I think like the other day we had a guy from Czech Republic. His name is Professor Jan Rak.
Yes.
Jan is, CERN physicist, and he was in Bosnia. He was so impressed. So I know there are many experts from different fields in Czech Republic, Slovakia, all the people who follow you. And I think if they have a chance to read that, then they would consider this project very challenging. And, we don't have to cooperate with those guys, University of Oxford, but there are many other experts around the world who use scientific instruments, who measure and who can make, conclusions like we do.
Yes, of course. So guys, if you want to check the links, look above, down, there is a description and you can find all the links. If you want to visit pyramids in Bosnia, you can find all the information you need for that. So do that and let me know how did you like it. And also you can find there the event. If you want to come this year, is in November, is a Saturday, just come. I would like to see you, meet all of you. Semir, thank you again very much for this, for your precious time. And I wish you all the good with your research and all the support you need. And is there anything you would like to say to people, you would like to share at the end of this interview?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to see you in Bosnia the latest summer of 2026. That's one thing. And the other thing, we have so many nice people from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, from different countries. We are open 365 days a year. It is not run by the government. We don't receive any government money. But this is the such a beautiful place, and every year we have so many more visitors. And just let me give you this information. Back in 2008, 10,000 visitors. 2018, 40,000. 2019, 50,000. 2023, 195,000. 2024, last year, 245,000. So many people are coming. And this is the, such a natural growth. The Ministry of Tourism does not give us a penny to promote this project. All other government levels, we have so many bureaucracy in this country. They don't care about good projects, but we grow organically. People love what they see. We are not Egypt. We are not commercialized. We are not, we don't have camels, and if you don't pay them, they don't let you climb down from the camel. It's not our style. We want people to come, to see, to feel, to make their own conclusions.
Guys, these information are not so, in mainstream so many times. So please share these ideas, because maybe you have friends around you, maybe you have people who are interested in these topics. And I think this interview can be just like a part of the puzzle. Just, share it. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm very grateful for all criticism as well. Of course, you're welcome here. And Semir, have a nice day, enjoy, and we are staying in contact. So thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.